Last time, right, my dad would tell me this, that if a teacher cane you, when you come home, I'll cane harder. Right? He's a teacher, you listen. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Wise and Shine. Every Monday, we hope to join you on your morning journey to kind of derive some wisdom from some of the latest happenings out there today. My name is Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and I am joined with
Dawn, who is here to provide the in to the too young.
That's true. And my name is Eric, who's going to bring some sensibility to this conversation.
You mean we are not sensible?
Hey, today's topic, it will make sense.
Well, that was a statement. 我不干了. Yes, today the topic is an important topic that recently went viral because I don't know why all the mainstream media is covering something along this line. Somehow
Nothing else
or another.
to cover, ma.
Really? I thought there are many other things, but yes, today's topic is your teacher always right? What caught me was, of course, the recent saga, right? I think everybody know about the recent saga where there was a secondary school student that went viral and, started shouting at the teacher and the teacher was, in my view, was also shouting back at the kid as much as there are no vulgarities, the emotions were running high.
Don't touch me! Hey, you watch your mom, lah. You touch me! Hey, I will end your life right now, bitch. Don't touch me! Shut your mouth!
Yep.
Right? So both sides were just kind of like, if you call it verbal abusing each other. And with that, it went viral. And I'm quite sure the student on the side that recorded it, right, it must have escalated, right? Quite 精彩. That's why I decided to take out my camera and record it, right? But that went viral. And then after that, you have all these mainstream media that started covering it, and then you have the school that came out and said that, oh, we have punished the student, right? And to me, that was like a big red flag, because what does it mean that we have punished the student? That means it is all the student's fault. And then after that, eventually mainstream media come in and cover teacher life very hard blah 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 blah. So that whole line of narrative, right? So the whole line of narrative suggests to me that they believe that the teacher is always right. And I have very bad experience with some teachers. So today we are gonna spend
your
some
teachers
time.
aren't listening.
So, I mean, even if you're listening, I tell you should repent.
See, that's why I say I'm going to bring some sensibility to this.
Emotional topic.
We can clearly see where you guys are standing.
Emotional topic. But I think we can broadly define teacher, right? So your mentor or even your manager, following last week's discussion, so people that are guiding you and helping you along and teaching you stuff, I think we can all kind of classify them as teachers. Okay, so any thoughts? Anybody want to start? Maybe you want to, Eric?
Mr. Sensible.
Mr. Sensible. Yeah.
Well, I used to think, when I was young, I really idolized my teachers. My teachers are everything. And so I really do agree. I do believe that they were right, or they are right, to the extent that I end up becoming a teacher myself. Right? I mean, not in the mainstream MOE, but, being in an education company, we have been teaching our whole life. So my natural answer instinctively is if you are a kid, and your parents tell you that must listen to your teachers and you listen to your parents, then obviously you're always going to think your teachers are right. So that was my frame when I entered school. Now, obviously, now being an adult, I realized that my teachers are really just mere mortals. And that's when I disagree now that teachers are always right. It depends on their domain of knowledge, I feel. But that's the thing, it's a slippery slope. I'll give you an example, okay? I used to be in a coaching organization where everybody idolizes the master coach.
Oh, yeah.
Because he
Sensei
was
vibes strong.
Oh my god, Sensei vibe, and he has attendants taking care of him when he's running classes. So he really has the Huang Shang.
Like that, you come down there, got someone hold your jacket. Let's say, can you help me?
Yeah, exactly. But back then, there's a reason why, because you need to let the coach focus on his coaching and take care of everything else. So we all idolizes him because he helped us solve a lot of our life problems, right? I mean, if you're my coach, I will tell you all my secrets, and he solved that. But I noticed something which is a slippery slope. The minute I started idolizing you because I'm grateful to you, I start to generalize that everything you say becomes the word.
The word.
Yeah, and that even your lifestyle becomes something I think is right that I want to emulate, and that's where cults are formed.
So then, why is that an issue? Because I'm gonna push you there because many people join some sort of pseudo cults, you know, or many people do idolize their teacher.
It is an issue when the person started taking advantage of their influence and power to do things that is unethically right.
That's a very good caveat.
Yeah. And that's why I feel that as students, we give power away, and that's fine because it's an exchange, right? I give you power so that you give me wisdom. But if I overgive it and then I start to subjugate myself to you, then that's when the teacher has absolute power over me. Then you better hope that the teacher is ethical, because otherwise the teacher is gonna really influence you in a very, very bad way. So I think that human beings need to be discerning. But as kids, how can we be discerning?
It's subjective, right? Because like as kids, is your teacher always right only applies if the student knows when to distinguish when it's right and when it's wrong.
Yeah, but how can a student like primary one?
Exactly, correct. So for really young kids, like my kid confirmed don't know that go and touch the electricity socket is wrong. So he must listen to me, the mother, the teacher, that it is wrong and trust that it is right. But when he grows up later on and becomes more sensible, not Mr. Sensible,
See, I told you the sensible will appear today a lot of times.
then like he is able to distinguish that some things I say may not always be right. Like for example, when my kid grows up and let's say he's in his 20s, right? Then I tell him, or like, okay, I use myself, don't say him. Later next time my kid download this podcast, use it against me.
Oh.
So like when I was young, I believe my parents when they say don't go and be an author. It pays very poorly. Look at the world. Who's the famous and rich author? Only got one J.K. Rowling. Can you be a J.K. Rowling? Don't have. Singapore have meh? Only Russell Lee. Can you be him? Cannot. So that was the narrative that my parents gave me when I was growing up and killed my childhood dreams. Actually, not really. I just decided to become a blogger in the end. So I believe that they were right in saying being a writer doesn't really earn you enough to pay the bills and everything else. But we live on the cusp of change. Today we're in an era where bloggers get paid thousands of dollars and earn a lot more than if you're a writer for an organization or if you're doing any other job. There are bloggers out there, there are writers out there who earn way more than even successful salespeople.
Do you just like slip out that thing? Like, oh no, actually I earn quite a bit.
Actually, I earn
Because
very
I'm
little.
like the number one financial blogger.
I can earn more. I don't mind. But yeah, no, that's the thing. So like when I grew up and I realized there was this transformative period in my life where I was struggling because I was like, on one hand my parents say that writing doesn't make money, so I shouldn't go into writing, right? But on the other hand, we're starting to see that was the period where food bloggers were coming out. Wow, $5,000 for one food article. Wow, not bad, and it's more than my fresh grad pays, yeah. So I was like, hey, don't make sense, like this advice, and I started questioning it.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that my parents were wrong. Like initially, of course, I was like, Daddy, you're wrong. You look at Xia Xue, she earns so much money. Why you say writing don't make money?
But that's survivor bias. Xia Xue is the only Xia Xue, right?
Later on, there were more.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They were not Xia Xue, but they also earned.
You mean like Choo Choo?
There were a lot more. I shall not name drop.
Yeah.
But it started changing. And today, content creators is like a legit profession, which didn't exist in my parents'
Which I will
time.
tell people don't.
I feel that.
Kids nowadays say, I want to be a
know,
YouTuber,
that's why I was like, don't.
You see, the thing is because Reggie asked, right? Are teachers always right?
Yeah.
Because a very easy question to ask, because always, right?
Yes,
Absolute.
because
Yeah, then GP say always is absolute, so cannot.
exactly, that was where I wanted to bring it, right? Because on the absolute terms, it's very easy to say no.
Correct.
You know, but maybe before we go deeper, can I just get a little bit of color, like in your head, right? What is right or wrong?
Oh.
Like, is there right or wrong to
No.
begin with?
Oh, wow,
No.
that's a great question, actually.
Because that's the caveat, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the
Yeah.
premise of the thing. Yeah.
But right and wrong is always a grey area, isn't it? Oh my gosh, I'm using all the GP skills now.
Yeah,
But it's
like-
always a very grey area because what is right to someone can be wrong to another person. And I think like using my parents as an example, right? They were only teaching me what was right in their era where they were, go and work for the government or the like a big profitable company, have a stable rice bowl and don't have to worry for the rest of your life. Or go to school, get a degree, get hired, and work for someone. But today it's changing. We're starting to see more, go and pursue your passion, your business, be an entrepreneur. You earn more being an entrepreneur than being an employee. And that narrative is really starting to shift. Why you're laughing?
Because I think I very fashion fast forward. When people are propagating, like, oh, work a job, I really tell people, you should do business. And then when people are saying, oh, you should do business, I don't just go back and work a job. So I'm like 2 steps ahead of pop culture. culture on that front, right? Because I think I just at the crux of it, right? So it's always the case. I really want to put it out there. I know it's a tangent to the topic. If you hate your job, change your job. If you start a business, you will hate yourself. So because it's a whole different learning curve.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I think the domain is important. Like for example, Newton is right. The 3 laws of Newton is right. But there is conditions for it to be right. Einstein is also right. But his right has a bigger domain.
No, but science, the basis of science is very easy to...
Which leads me then to, if our teachers are right, in the domain of, like, let's say, knowledge or academia, it's a lot easier to say right or wrong, right? It's black or white, all right?
Because they're grading you, right?
But when it comes to wisdom, life advice, and how can I say it's right? Because my father can only give me the best advice from his 1960s. But like you said, you're right, that the world have changed. So what I share with you back then may not work right now. Which is why I feel that I think all of us, we can listen, we can respect. I feel that we should respect, at least I come from a point of view that we should respect all our teachers. Because of teacher is a very sacred job, to me, I feel. It all comes from Confucianism, right? That we should respect our elders, respect our teachers.
Asian context.
So it's because of that.
Confucian, yes.
Exactly. So I feel we should give due diligence, due respect to our teacher, but it doesn't mean that we have to listen to everything our teacher say. Now, doesn't mean that if the teacher says something and I disagree, respect means I can say it nicely, I disagree, or I can just keep quiet because I don't want to embarrass my teacher in front of everybody. So I felt that their student was being disrespectful. Unfortunately, the teacher who shouted back, he did not, the optics is not good for him because anyone who shows anger is already a weakness.
Yeah.
In today's world.
Just walk away.
In today's world.
Yeah, then he has the stature of a teacher, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think where you said it right, if the teacher is in that domain of expertise, we can safely assume 90% of the time they're right. Because we don't have that domain of expertise. We're learning from them. And being respectful to them will make them want to teach us more as well, right? Like, come on, I mean it as teachers. Would you teach more to the student who's more respectful for you?
Of course, right.
So 听话,
as a student,
right,
you want to get more value and milk your teacher for more value, respect them. And then 90% of the time, they're usually right. But we need to leave room for that 10%.
And that's why critical thinking, I think, is a very good survival skill.
Yeah. And I think I come from the view that there is nothing inherently right or wrong. When someone say that you're right, what they're really saying is, I agree with you.
It's aligned with my worldview.
Our worldviews are aligned, yes.
Or they just don't want to argue with you.
Oh, yeah.
You know the canoe with meme?
That kind, yes. But you must be quite someone if you keep getting that. You must, let's be clear, right? Yeah. You must be quite someone if everybody just be like, you're right lah. Like all the time. So then that's you, right? 3 data point enough to substantiate that. But I think that's where I'm coming from the view that nothing's inherently right or wrong. When you say that, when someone say that you're right, what they're really saying is we are aligned. That means we share the same beliefs.
I love what you said. Wow.
Okay, we share the same beliefs. We are aligned. Okay, and by extension, then when we bring it into the teacher's context, half the time you should be thinking that your teacher is wrong. Because if you always think that the teacher is right, then why are you learning from them? They are not. The whole process of learning is challenging your worldview.
We are very confused now. But if you go into class thinking your teacher is wrong, then you won't listen and absorb what they tell you.
No, okay. Not that you think that the teacher is wrong, but you should endlessly feel that, like, what are you saying?
Okay.
Because the basis of learning from somebody is that they are going to be smashing your worldview. They're going to be challenging your ideas. They're going to be, attacking you, which is why a lot of people say,
Depends on the education system.
Okay.
If the education system is the knowledge transfer, right, then please don't question me, right? But if the education system is like the liberal arts where we train people on critical thinking, learning how to question things, then I think that's great.
That's a very good distinguishing point.
But unfortunately, it's just a module. Critical thinking is one module, not the entire basis of our education.
But any thoughts on that? Like, what do you think? Like, whatever I just said, in a sense
No,
of...
100%. But as adults, right? As adult, I think it's very important to question, because you see, if I'm willing to question you and challenge you, I was able to challenge you and yet you're able to substantiate, then your point of view is stronger. It's like I want to challenge you guys. Say my egg is very tough. I cannot keep saying my egg is tough. But the only way I can show you my egg is tough is you take another rock and smash it. And if the rock smash the egg, the rock is stronger, and that becomes the truth. But if you're not willing to let your knowledge to be tested, then I think your knowledge is not.
And I think being able to substantiate is important. So being able to substantiate is important. I used to teach general paper, liberal arts, right? Question, and I'm always of the view.
同学们好。
同学们好。
老师早，同学们好，我们开始上课了。
So I'm always of the view that I don't hold all the answers. And I tell that to my students from lesson 1 that there may be points where I'm wrong and you're right. But you must understand also that 80% of the time I'm right lah, because I've been through this, I'm teaching you how to succeed and all. But what really frustrates me is when my students argue or say that I'm wrong, but yet cannot prove it. Then it gets very frustrating when they're like, no teacher, this is wrong. No, actually I read this. This is actually the correct one. You're wrong. They're like, okay, and I'm always open. Let's look at the facts, okay? Let's substantiate that. And then she cannot prove. So I go and do the Google research and I disprove it in an instant. And I think that's where you're like, you need to strike a very fine balance. Like when you know your teacher is wrong, you must also know that you are really right lah, and not that you believe you are right. There's a difference.
But there are some things that are factual, which is very easy to prove,
Yeah.
and there are some things that are more opinionated, right? They're more flexible to just like from ethics, from worldview, and all those things. Then right or wrong becomes very fluid. Right?
Correct.
But
So that's where like you must have space for differing views.
Yes.
Well, he actually gave us the good vocabulary, right? That the next time around when you hear a teacher, you need to ask yourself, is that a fact or an opinion? Yeah. And a fact is something that you said rightfully can be proven. And not just by one data point, but 3 data points. So as long as we can discern, that's a fact, then you don't challenge. If it's an opinion, that's when you don't have to swallow the whole bones together, right? And then that's when the second point you mentioned, which is it also comes from, do I want to agree with you because I don't want to be challenged, right? But it's dangerous too because we end up in an echo chamber.
Yeah. But knowing when to distinguish whether something is a fact or an opinion,
wow, that's a
is a
useful
very
skill.
important skill.
So how do I do that other than asking Google?
Go attend
Google
a
isn't always
critical
right.
thinking class, right? You used to teach that,
Yeah,
right?
critical thinking, and I think life experiences, talking to more people, hearing different perspectives really help. Yeah, I mean, I used to be a GP teacher, so I really feel that the best subject in the education system today is general paper. Because it trains you to think that way, but people hate that because they cannot score A.
It's true.
I
It's so
don't know, I
hard,
always
my
got an A.
goodness.
Okay, but anyway.
Short story on general paper, right? When I was in school, I always write on arts and theatre, right? And when I went to year 2, and my teacher was like, the new GP teacher came in and said like, okay, all of you, question 3, 4, 10 cannot do. I was like, why? I love question 3 because it's about arts and theatre. She was like, because most people don't know how to do this. And she was like, how about you tell me how you're going to do it? I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to write this. She said, okay, only you can do.
Not bad. Not
So I
bad.
think not bad.
Yeah.
She allowed that space. Right?
So I think that's
There are
quite
also
cool.
some GP teachers who mark wrong because their opinions differ from you.
Yes.
That one cannot. Right? You must have those whereby I think in life, not just in GP, there must be room for differing opinions. And we always learn more from someone who has a contrasting view from us than someone who is just an echo chamber. Yeah, but how to distinguish facts from opinion, right? I think this is really something that you just have to go through life and get mature, think more, analyze more, and you eventually get there. I'll use an example. When I was in my early 20s and in my first job, okay, thinking that I didn't know better. I mean, I'm first time in the workplace, okay, I'm learning what corporate is. And my boss, my manager then told me, you must wear branded. Then you will impress the client. They will think better of you.
In
and you'll be
finance, is it?
more... No. I was in account management, like a bit of sales.
yeah.
So they'll think better of you. They'll think that you're successful, and hence they will be more likely to cut and do the deal with you. But then as a fresh grad, I was like, easy for you to say lah. You earn 10k a month.
Yeah lah.
I earn 2k. How to buy branded?
Might be right, but not practical.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Coach Brandon or Longshan Brandon.
Back then, Bata to me is Brenda. Depends how much money you make, you know. I'm sorry, Bata.
Their marketing team is gonna do something about this. Yeah, but so like I didn't realize back then, right? I was like, this is this sounds correct. I can see her logic, but yet financially it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me. So I decided to just play by my own rules. I didn't listen to her, and she felt a bit offended that I was not taking her advice
Yeah.
properly. And she would always be like, "Why you come in these shoes? Why you not wearing high heels? Why your bag is no brand?" And I'll just be like, yeah. And then I focus on competency. Yeah, but it was only much later on that I realized actually everything that she taught me was not wrong either. It was just that it was her opinion. Because
And
she...
it has worked for her.
Correct.
Yeah.
She became successful using that formula.
Yeah.
But I built my own path to success using a different formula based on competency rather than on branded
Which
things.
is why I feel that, okay, don't talk about facts lah, okay? Facts is facts. So as long as you can prove it, right? But when it comes to opinion, not that we need to challenge for the sake of challenging, but we can try it on for a size. But understand that it's very important to first check the source of the person giving you the advice. Does he share the same values with you? Does he come from similar background with you? And therefore it works for him, right?
Yeah.
Maybe for someone who cannot afford, then obviously that advice would not apply to you. Then now you're going to tell all the younger people it's not about branded clothes, it's about competence.
She got her own style, 门徒.
Exactly.
Her own people.
But it will only work for people
Who are competent.
But those people who are not competent but they carry branded clothes might work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel that don't need to question don't need question the advice. Don't have to discredit the advice. But I think whoever that's listening need to have the responsibility to discern for themselves.
Yeah.
Stay open. Test it for a size. And it's very nice that if you have people challenging your worldview, because it can either strengthen your worldview or you have a new worldview that will serve you. Most important, try it on and then see it works for you. If it works, keep it. If it doesn't, leave it.
And the discrediting is very important. So in this saga, the student was discrediting the teacher by making a big hoo-ha out of this. The one who filmed it was also discrediting the teacher and the school's reputation by, not showing that respect, letting it go viral, posting it online, showing the ugly side, airing dirty laundry in public. And then that just creates a whole, it's just one thing just leads to another lah. But what if we go back to the actual incident and things worked out differently? What if the student never said that line? Which was very disrespectful. It was really discrediting his teacher. What if the teacher had just walked away? Right? Then we wouldn't have had the saga. Then no more popcorn.
Wow, actually,
No, but that's exactly why I wanted to bring up this topic, right? Because there's just so many ways that this thing could have evolved, and there's so many ways that we could chime in on the discussion, and there are so many things to cover, but the mainstream media just covers it as
as
student
one
or bad
narrative.
student, bad
Why
student.
maybe we should go and submit a commentary about anger management. Shift the
and
narrative.
why can't the narrative be shifting towards maybe the class size too big? Teachers really cannot handle so many, which is true. Teachers overwork.
Hey, ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, how old are you? I don't know if this is public knowledge, but I'm 40 this year, so I come from the education background where we respect our teachers. We give our
You came
teacher
from that
respect.
era, lah.
Yeah,
I'm
but
the last round of people that still get attack on the hand one. Last round. Kane one.
Yeah, that teachers is like God, you know what I mean? We revere them, right? But I do notice that the younger generation have a different narrative now.
Yeah.
Which is the teacher first need to earn my respect, then I can respect the teacher.
Exactly.
But my time was what earn? There's no need to earn. He's a teacher. You listen. Right? And also one more thing, I also feel that sometimes parents disempower teachers. What do I mean? Last time, right, my dad would tell me this, that if a teacher cane you, when you come home, I'll cane harder. Right? But now the parent tell the teacher, you cane my son, I'll cane you back, I'll complain you.
Yeah,
so the son
make you lose
saw
a
that
job.
and start to see that power imbalance. Oh, so my teacher is not all powerful.
Yeah.
And then they can, kids are smart, right? They can use that. So I feel that there's a lot of other factors that's
but
influencing the student to behave that way.
And that's a whole different discussion about empowering the people that you work with and all that. It's like when you bring your employees into the meeting, right, and then you like just scold them in front of everybody, right? You disempower this person outright. There's no more influence that this person can do.
Exactly.
Right, but that's a different discussion. I think I want to bring this discussion down. If the teacher, we come to consensus that the teacher is not always right?
Yeah.
And we have also talked a little bit about fact, opinion, contextualizing, be discerning, have some sort of respect for the teacher, but don't kind of all hail, like
a cult leader.
Yeah, like woohoo. It's like, but how would you then manage this teacher-student relationship? In today's context, because you definitely have teachers in your life, right? Whether is it your current mentor or whoever that you're working, your manager, they are your teachers, right? So how would you then manage this relationship with them?
So my mantra is I treat everyone who is a teacher to me with respect. And that comes from just because you're a teacher. You're in that position to
exactly.
teach me something, so I give you the respect. But I can lose that respect for you. And the more you try to command that respect in situations where I don't think what you did was very respectful, the more it makes me lose even more respect for you. And that's where I then either walk away entirely, or if I can't walk away, then I just keep the relationship or the teacher-student relationship to the bare minimum. Yeah, I'll give an example. So when you first get recruited into an organization, for instance, your direct supervisor will have a lot of things to teach you. They're your direct teachers, right? But there may be some things that are handled differently. For instance, if you screw up, you make a mistake, how your direct manager manages that mistake with you plays a part. Because if he or she only takes the perspective and always takes the sides of the organization and never thinks about you, even when you're right and the organization is wrong, then that's where I'll start to really lose respect. But if on the other hand, the manager is one whereby she can understand that both parties are right. It's just different opinion, different approach. Doesn't have to take a side. I mean, I don't expect you to take my side all the time, but at least have that space to acknowledge it. I think that's healthy. But I've seen a lot of situations where the teachers don't take the sides of the one below them, the student, because I'm the teacher. You don't walk into a CEO's room like that, do you? I'm like, today's era, you go into the CEO room and tell him, right? A lot of CEOs have open door policy. But if the teachers, whether it's your direct manager or the CEO himself or whoever it is, has that policy whereby you have to respect me no matter what. Yeah, it's not about earning. You have to give it. And I am always right 100%. Even when I am wrong, I will never admit it. I think that's where it's very disrespectful.
So you will leave the organization?
If I can.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think I understand that in some situations you can't.
I know.
Right? So people might be stuck in a situation whereby your teacher, your direct mentor, your CEO even is wrong and you're in the right. But if you need that money to pay the bills,
I get
you
it.
just have to tahan.
Then you quiet
until-
quitting.
Yeah, quiet
Quiet
quitting,
quitting.
correct. Or
It's
you do
kinda
the
cruise
bare
fast.
minimum just to
Yeah.
survive until a better opportunity and a better culture comes along.
Fair point.
Yeah, but I think the healthiest ones, I've seen a lot of it in agency models. Yeah, whereby insurance or property managers, right? They acknowledge that what they teach their downlines may not always be right. And they own it, but they grow together. And I think that's really, really healthy.
Interesting.
So you learn from, as a teacher, you can learn from your students as well. But when the relationship is very one-sided, no, it's only the student learn from the teacher and never teacher learning from student. I think that's where everything gets broken.
Interesting. So how would you manage your relationship with your teachers?
With my teachers, right? I mean, if I pay them, then obviously I would listen, right? Because I already paid money. I feel that I would separate their expertise from their life. Because none of us are perfect human beings. And anyway, most of the time, if I'm learning from someone, I'm usually learning because of a school of knowledge, right? Like marketing or how to do a podcast. But if I'm learning from a mentor about how to run a business, for example, then obviously I'm going to look at, is he successful in running business? Is he good at continuing creating success? So his results would be the basis of my respect for the person. Now, if I'm working with a coach, for example, again, same thing. Coach, of course, it's very easy. It's easier for me to respect a coach if the coach is living a perfect life too, right? But I feel that the way I would judge a coach is good or not good is if he can solve my problems. Yeah, it's just that if he lives the values and the proper life, it just adds more credibility to that person. Yeah, that's a reason why people said that you can learn from anyone, because even a spoiled clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
So that's my take. I will learn from everyone, but I will be discerning, and I will respect the person if the person has the expertise.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think as students, if they think that the teachers are always wrong or not always right, it also clouds what you can learn from them.
Exactly.
Because are you in a space whereby, let's say using Eric's example, right? The coach is telling you something and you're like, you recognize it's an opinion,
Yeah.
okay, not a fact, but you think that you are right and his opinion is wrong. You don't even bother giving a chance? What if his method might just work? Yeah, you may think it's wrong, but if you respect your coach and your teacher enough to at least try, you'll be the one who benefit, right?
I get it. I mean, I actually recognize that, like I always face a lot of resistance with my coaches, or my mentors. I was like, really, this one will work? But it's like, okay lah, I already subscribed to you, then might as well.
Might
Let
as
me
well
just give it a
try,
shot
right?
first, right? But I will not go all in, right? I will kind of manage it in the sense of like, okay, I understand why I'm facing this resistance, because the very fact that we are here, you are supposed to challenge, what I know, right? If whatever I know already works, then why am I here?
Yeah, exactly.
right?
You see, that's why, because you have a growth mindset. So, I mean, ultimately, someone give, which is the teacher give, but the student is the receiver, right? The receiver must have a growth mindset. If he has a fixed mindset, also can that I pay teachers who I agree with because we share the same values.
Then we're
Correct.
just vibing.
Yeah. Then okay, Lord, you just want to feel good about your knowledge, can. But I think we are assuming that everybody is here to evolve and grow.
That's why it's Rise and Shine.
Yeah, right. It's right, wise and shine.
You're just plugging and plugging. Love it.
Good at this, right?
Yeah, love it.
So that's why it's important that at least I feel that as long as you have a growth mindset, everybody can teach you something.
Yeah.
Even the wrong teachers will teach you something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like you can, in positions where you can't choose your teacher, you can choose what you want to learn from them. And then everything else just 1 year in, 1 year out.
Or just do the opposite law, learn the opposite law. Like I see the teacher flaring up, I'll tell myself, in future, I don't do that. That's also a lesson, right?
Exactly.
That's why I say ultimately it's about the receiver.
Yeah, actually that's a really good point. Instead of thinking you can't learn, you realize you can learn the exact opposite.
We can learn everything.
So
It's
what people
the
could
mindset.
learn from this incident is that, okay, so maybe for the teacher, I can understand anger management and very triggered, natural. But what we can learn is maybe to rein in a bit more. Or what can we do to not get so triggered if we are in that student position? I think I'll also flare up, yeah.
I also think I will. That's the thing.
Well, now we can look at it and what can we do to not flare up?
Yeah.
We must be stoic and walk away.
Yeah, or to assume that there was always a camera pointing at you.
Yeah. Correct.
PR.
Correct.
Yeah, my issue has never been with the reaction between the two participants.
It's the-
It's the
what comes
narratives
after
that
that.
came after, and then all the management decisions to shape that narrative. It got me very annoyed.
Yeah.
right?
That's why you're shaping a new narrative.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yes.
Which is why we also need to question, is the media always right? Because everybody's teaching us something, right? So, but if we are discerning, then no one can ever control the narrative. I can throw the narrative at you, but if I have her critical thinking skills, I'm not a discern between facts and opinion, I'm not lazy as a thinker, and I have growth mindset, then I'll never be influenced.
Well, media always right on that one long discussion. I'm sure we all got a lot of insights around this thing, like how the money flows, like who makes the decision, like all those things. It's a lot more to
But
discuss.
for people listening to Rise and Shine, you must assume that Rise and Shine is the media is always right.
But this one is the number one salesperson.
They're consistent, okay? But I think in closing, I want to share one last point that, a lot of people, they think that, okay, you learn from person A about career, person B about relationship, and person C about whatever, like taking care of your kids or whatever. And you believe that by learning from ABC, you become the ABC.
Yeah.
But the reality is ABC as a person does not exist.
Yeah.
Career person A, relationship person B, and friendship person C does not exist.
Until you make it exist.
Yeah. So in other words, the thing here is you are creating, you are not duplicating.
Yeah.
So you should not use the mindset and the possibility of duplicating it, and thinking that it will happen, because you're essentially creating a whole new person out of this universe, and you must put the risk and reward potential on this thing in a different way. Yeah.
That's why they say create your life, not duplicate your life.
Yeah. But it is. I mean, I wanted to put it out there because I think it's a lot harder than what people are thinking. They feel like, you learn from this person, then you become like this new person that is like good on all three fronts. But the reality is that it's not how it works. The very fact that a person can be so good at A, like career, many other parts are a little bit wonky because they put all their bandwidth on A.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a give and take on all of that, right? So at the end of the day, I think our consensus is teacher is not always right, but there are a few things that you can do and you should do, which is kind of respect your teacher, be discerning on advice. If you're learning from someone and, they're sharing you the expertise, you can just suck it up. And eventually you will form your own view, right? Eventually you become good as you are. Any last things? Anybody?
No, I think that was
No,
a
I
great
think you did a great summary.
Great, of course, I'm a professional.
Oh my god.
So yes, thank you for tuning in to Wise and Shine every Monday on the Financial Coconut Network. I will see you next week. Bye.